All right, I'll move to a slightly different topic. This committee has been examining, actually the reference committee has been examining the cost of rural airfares.
Yep.
And as part of that examination, we've been looking at security costs.
Yes.
Now in the budget, and I know this is not your area, but I've had a detailed conversation with Mr. Pizzullo on Thursday last week, I think it was, where he has said that a particular analysis has not been carried out. So I'll just give you the background to that so that you can tell me what you've done on your side.
Okay.
So $51 million has been allocated to a number of regional airports to upgrade their security equipment, their screening equipment, as a result of a security analysis that has been conducted by Home Affairs. In questioning last Monday at one of the hearings, the department made it very clear that they had done no analysis on the effect to regional growth or the effect that decision would have on regional growth. So, for example, Qantas has given evidence publicly that if a security charge was imposed at Whyalla, Port Lincoln and Kangaroo Island, that would potentially go to the tipping point and those services would not be, would no longer be viable. They sort of indicated that that's a concern to them. There are a number of other airports around the country which probably fall within those categories, but in their public evidence to the committee, they named those three, which, because it probably stemmed from a question from me as a South Australian senator. We've also heard evidence from Rex Airlines that suggests that these security charges, and they basically, by Home Affairs submission, are somewhere between $530,000 and $760,000 per annum. So whilst the equipment comes along and that there's a grant for that, this is for the operating costs, which of course are ongoing. And with a small airport, of course, you have to amortise that across a small number of flights, and it basically makes this unviable. And of course, then the effect is that there are fewer flights, there might be fewer locums, there might be more difficulty getting to education service, to medical service, and that has another effect on regional communities. Now, pressed quite firmly by Senator O'Sullivan at the hearing last Monday, it was evident that the people who are doing the groundwork for Home Affairs had done no analysis as to the economic cost and the viability of certain routes in respect of that security charge. And Mr. Pizzullo confirmed to me and said it's not within his purview. He suggested that I come and talk to you guys. So has your department, has regional growth, looked at the effect of this security change, this proposed security change? It's not regulated yet. They've managed to get the funds through the Parliament, but not the regulation that would permit the security requirement to come into play. Has your department been involved in any analysis as to the effect that security change will have on A, the viability of airlines flying to regional areas, and B, the economic activity within those regional areas?
I'm going to get Ms Spence to answer. I'll just note for the Chair, these are actually issues that would be, but we'll do it here, done under Airports and Aviation. That's where the regional airports programs are run, not in regional but in airports. That's fine, but we can do our best here now with the Senator.
Don't punish us for our generosity in allowing officials to go home early.
I will ask Ms Spence to provide some background for the Senator.
Yeah, thanks, Senator. We haven't done any economic analysis of the impact of those security charges, but we are working very closely with both the airports and the airlines to just see how the new cost will actually be implemented. We're conscious of the fact that there is the $51 million program to subsidise the actual capital equipment. At this stage, while we're hearing airlines talk about what the implications might be, what we haven't got is any practical practical evidence of what they're suggesting might play out. So I guess what I'm saying is we're watching it very closely. We clearly see the importance of regional aviation in terms of the way in which regional communities actually can engage and connect with the rest of Australia. But at this stage, we don't actually have any reason to intervene, but we are watching it very closely.
Okay, so I don't understand how we get to a point where we've made a decision to spend this $51 million and there's been no analysis as to its effect.
Well, I think, Senator, the steps towards it was the security analysis, which is at the end of the day, security decisions are taken because of the impact, making sure that our airports are safe. There is an awareness of what the capital costs will be to install the new arrangements, but
Not all of them.
no, that's true.
I understand not all of them.
I understand that the operating costs are still being worked through, and there is a tried formula that has worked to date in terms of how operating costs are recovered. I recognise it's different when it gets to regional aviation, but at the end of the day, security decisions are taken to protect the people in regional Australia who are getting on planes as well, and we're just making
the ultimate security option here is to have no flights. Then there will be no security problems.
Senator, I'm just explaining how we've got to the situation we have where a decision was taken on the basis of a security analysis. We're now working through to make sure that we maintain those services.
So let me try and summarise.
Just before we leave that point, do you think that the 2 policemen or 3 policemen at Yarraka make a profit in law enforcement? Or do you think it might cost the state, or in that case the state, a lot of money to put them there to provide a service, to secure them? We've got situations here where you've got 1 flight a day into some of these small communities, and you're going to have 7 or 8 personnel there for an hour and a quarter. Now, unless you're going to retrain our mate off the ride-on mower down the main street, or the bloke who does the rubbish dump come in early and have a tub up and put on a uniform to double duty as a security officer, these are going to leave massive imposts on our small communities out there that they have to... No, let me finish, Ms Spence, because it's one of my bloody... what's that horse you ride? One of my... Hobby horses. That they're going to have to recover off the travelling public, because we know how the cost recovery occurs. And it's going to lead to an absolutely inevitable outcome, as Senator Patrick has indicated and the airlines have indicated, that is, some services will just stop. So these are not luxuries for our people out there. They're not as if they can go and get on the bus because there ain't no bus, and not as if they can get on the train because there ain't no train. And it has really got me rolled up about the fact that our government's going ahead and understand about the security stamp and all the stuff that goes with it. We have not paid attention to the knock-on effect, which is measurable. You don't have to wait and see what it is. You can go and measure it now. There are ways it can be measured, and we're interested, all of us in this committee, as to why there hasn't been been a lot of effort put into every other part of it except this part.
Well, Senator, I can't say more than we are watching it very closely. We're very.
But what does that mean, Ms Spence? What does that mean?
It means sorry, Senator. We're working closely through the Airports Association. We talk regularly with the airlines. We deal closely with Home Affairs.
Home Affairs aren't doing anything. I promise you, they were laid bare at a hearing about it. Laid bare. They're not doing anything. So it's no good you're monitoring with them. They're asleep at the wheel when it comes to this particular issue. The Airports Association, I don't know what resources they'd have to do this. I mean, this is a very serious matter. We've got airports, one of them in Senator Patrick's state, that says that they're going to be out of pocket by 1.2 million or something in the operating costs, which they've got to try and amortise over 1 flight a day, right, over a 12-month period. So do the math. So someone, I don't care who it is, when a government goes about to make decisions that affects the people and affects their communities and their economies, we have a responsibility to understand, first of all, what the impacts are going to be, unusual impacts. This doesn't happen at the bigger airports because they get a lot of travelling public to amortise this over, what these impacts are, and in the event that they're unfair, to socialise the resolution of them, like we do with policemen and the school teachers and the doctors that go to those communities. But someone has to have a looky-see. And if not you, just bat it away now. Get the bat close to your pads, bat it away and tell us which agency or department should be the ones who ask and then answer the question in some detail about the economic and social impacts.
Senator, sorry, excuse me, Ms Spence. We are a department with responsibilities for viability of regional aviation costs and economic impacts in the same way Senator Patrick outlined earlier. So you are right to hold us responsible for how these impacts unfold. Of course, it is the security aspects of it are held, as you know, by Home Affairs. So you're in the right place in terms.
Well, we're not submitting on the security. We know that's a fight we can't win. If they want to set security parameters around these airports, that's a fight we can't win. And when, who in their right mind is going to fight that and stop security at some airport and then have an event? We're not going to do